Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings be upon all of you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Magid Abdullati, and it's my honor to welcome you all here tonight on behalf of American Finance House LARIBA, the oldest riba-free financing institution in the United States, and on behalf of Bank of Whittier, which is the newest member to the riba-free or RF family. It's my honor and appreciate all of you coming here to join us tonight to welcome two very accomplished and distinguished individuals that are receiving the annual LARIBA RF Awards. As we get started, I would like to ask a few members of the management team of LARIBA and the Bank of Whittier to come up here on stage and take a minute to welcome each of you. So I'll let each of them say a few words about their name, what they do with the organization, and go from there. Maria, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maria Abdullahi. I'm from Ethiopia. I'm CFO for American Finance House LARIBA since September 2000. I'm working with LARIBA 11 years.
Good evening. My name is Alexandra Deng. I'm the Vice President and Credit Manager at the Bank of Whittier. I started with Bank of Whittier in January 2006. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mohsen Mandavia. I'm a Business Development Manager at Richardson branch, Bank of Whittier. And I welcome from Bank of Whittier. I'm welcoming all our guests. Jazakallah khair for coming. Assalamu alaikum.
Good evening. My name is Dan Hall. My title is Business Development Manager here at the Bank of Whittier in Richardson. And Mike, if I could just take just a second, I was comparing the list of attendees earlier in the week with the list of account holders we have at the bank. And there's a couple of you that have not opened an account with our bank. So we have decided to delay the meal until we get everyone an account holder. Seriously, I would very much like to meet with any one of you that do not have a bank account with us and at your convenience, and we'd certainly love to be your financial service provider. Thank you and welcome this evening.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mohammed El-Biledi. I am Senior Vice President at Bank of Whittier. I joined the bank in 2003. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome all of you here, and I thank you all for your support. And applications that Dan mentioned are outside. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this annual awards dinner. We're all attending here. And the LARIBA Awards actually started in 1993. It's an annual tradition. It is pioneered by American Finance House LARIBA, and it's an award based on merit. It is not an award based on political affiliation, religious affiliation, or geographic location. We've had winners from all over, from India, from Pakistan, from the U.S., from the Middle East, and our distinguished awardees tonight from the U.S. and from Bahrain. And we've had people from inside the community and outside of the community of all faith. And the common denominator that these distinguished institutions as well as individuals all have in common is that they have accomplished something that contributes to this unique riba-free lifestyle, doing something that makes us all proud to live our life happier, more productively, and inshallah plan for our akhirah and a happier ending, inshallah. So it's my pleasure to do this. I would like to start with the recitation of the Quran. Inshallah, we have Hafiz Sajjad Gul will lead us in the recitation of the Quran. The translations are going to be in English. Please follow along the slides.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء لكم منه شراب ومنه شجر فيه تسيمون ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون وسخر لكم الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر والنجوم مسخرات بأمره إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون وما ذرأ لكم في الأرض مختلفا ألوانه إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يذكرون وهو الذي سخر البحر لتأكلوه منه لحما طريا وتستخرجوا منه حلية تلبسونها وترى الفلك مواخر فيه ولتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون إن قارون كان من قوم موسى فبغى عليهم وآتيناه من الكنوز ما إن مفاتحه لتنوء بالعصبة أولي القوة إذ قال له قومه لا تفرح إن الله لا يحب الفرحين وابتغ فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك ولا تبغ الفساد في الأرض إن الله لا يحب المفسدين قال إنما أوتيته على علم عندي أولم يعلم أن الله قد أهلك من قبله من القرون من هو أشد منه قوة وأكثر جمعا ولا يسأل عن ذنوبهم المجرمون فخرج على قومه في زينته قال الذين يريدون الحياة الدنيا يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون إنه لذو حظ عظيم وقال الذين أوتوا العلم ويلكم ثواب الله خير لمن آمن وعمل صالحا ولا يلقاها إلا الصابرون فخسفنا به وبداره الأرض فمن كان له من فئة ينصرونه فما كان له من فئة ينصرونه من دون الله وما كان من المنتصرين وأصبح الذين تمنوا مكانه بالأمس يقولون ويك أن الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء من عباده ويقدر لولا أمن الله علينا لخسف بنا ويكأنه لا يفلح الكافرون تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين من جاء بالحسنة فله خير منها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى الذين عملوا السيئات إلا ما كانوا يعملون الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون يمحق الله الربا ويربي الصدقات والله لا يحب كل كفار أثيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله وإن تبتم فلكم رؤوس أموالكم لا تظلمون ولا تظلمون وإن كان ذو عسرة فنظرة إلى ميسرة وأن تصدقوا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون صدق الله العظيم.
Okay, I would now like to direct your attention to the program. It's the time for our national anthem. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. We will now begin the dinner service. Enjoy your dinner, and inshallah we will continue with the presentations. Thank you very much.
I am sincerely delighted and honored to present to you an accomplished community member, and he is Dean Hassan Pirkul. As the Imam said, he is from Turkey. And if you don't know, I have some Turkish blood in me. My great-grandparents came from Turkey. Like many, many people in the Muslim world, during the Ottoman Empire, when the Turkish people went to enhance the unity amongst these lands, their best way of expressing that enhancement was not by war, not by military machinery, but by intermarriages. And intermarriages produces the real tie, the real link that makes a difference in the future, which produced me and produced many of you in Sudan, to Egypt, to Palestine, to South Africa, anywhere you go, and it's an amazing mix. To India, what I call the Greater India, which included India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and so on and so forth. I am honored to present to you Dean Hassan Pirkul, and he is the Dean of the Naveen Jindal School of Management, one of the top business schools, actually one of the top 10 business schools as reported by the Financial Times and by the Wall Street Journal. Am I correct, Professor Hassan? Close enough, very good. Professor Hassan Pirkul is a wonderful leader at the University of Texas at Dallas, and we're honored to have him come and speak to us about the future of the cost of education. Professor Hassan Pirkul.
Let me, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to talk to you tonight. Yahya, thank you. It is dangerous to talk after dinner. So, you know, particularly an academic talking after dinner is really dangerous. I can put all of you to sleep, so I'm gonna do my best not to do that. Now, since I can't be funny and entertaining, I'm gonna try to be short and sweet. So we'll see if I can do that. It's not easy for me to do, but I will do my best. When Yahya asked me to talk here, I kind of thought about what should I talk about, and I said, you know, what do I know? business school dean, we don't know much. But we do know about our own business, which is higher education. So I decided to talk to you about higher education and the changes that have taken place in higher education and are taking place as we speak. This is a market that is changing dramatically, okay? So it has changed dramatically and it's changing dramatically, and it has major implications for the future of this country as well as everywhere else in the world. Some people have been talking about a bubble in higher education loans. Okay, so some people have predicted that will be the next bubble that will burst. And so maybe after tonight, we may be able to have a better idea whether we have a bubble, and if so, whether it will burst. So with that, let me get to my talk. This is a historic kind of look at the cost of higher education. If you look at this, since 1978, you can see that inflation, okay, is relatively tame. 33 years, over 33 years, from a base of 100. The consumer index is at about 350 maybe, and minimum wage is keeping up with it. Wages are keeping up with it. And you see the house prices. The house prices went up and then came down with the bubble bursting. And then you see education costs. The next line is educational books and supplies. So those of you who are in printing business, if you are printing educational books, you have done a great had a great run, okay? The prices have gone through the roof. And then the next one is college tuition and fees. Look at that number. I mean, it's just amazing. It is almost 12 times higher today than 1978. Now, what are the causes of this? And if you see, there is no slowing down. This thing is going up, okay? And there is no. This is actually the inflation, and this is higher than healthcare inflation, okay? So let's look at some of the causes. And I don't want to bore you, but just briefly, trends in the way we do teaching and research in the universities. This is various groups of faculty. Now what you see that, to make the long story short, what this tells us that tenure track faculty, which is people like myself, you start as an assistant professor, you get your PhD, started as an assistant professor, 5, 6 years later, 7 years later, you become associate professor, you get tenure. Tenure means lifetime employment guarantee, more or less. Okay, once you have tenure, hardworking people continue to work very hard and they become full professors. Not so hardworking people don't work as hard and they stay as associate professors the rest of their careers. But bottom line is, this is the expensive component of education, tenure track faculty. And you have seen a dramatic decline since 1975. Today, only close to 17% of the faculty in a university is tenure track. Okay? A significant decline from almost 29% in 75 down to 17%. And it is continuing to decline. Full-time, non-tenure track faculty is basically every faculty that works. They may have PhDs or not, full-time, but they do not have tenure. You can fire them. Okay? That's the distinction. That group has increased and stabilized. The group that went up the most, it's now 41% of faculty in a university is the part-time faculty. That's you folks working in industry and coming and helping us to teach our students, up to 41%. So, if you think about it, probably somewhere around 20-25% of the delivery is done by professionals that are working in industry and coming back and helping us. And then finally, graduate students at last, that's kind of stable. Now, why are we seeing this? We are seeing this because part-time faculty is significantly cheaper than full-time faculty and significantly cheaper than tenure track faculty. And so slowly but surely we are eliminating tenure. Everybody, including myself, there are lots of people complaining about tenure because that means lifetime employment. That means maybe you're not working very hard and so on and so forth. Well, believe me, there are lots of people with tenure that work very, very hard. And at UTD, at my school, we don't really have problem of people slacking off. We have ways of making sure they are working. So even if they have lifetime employment guarantee, we make them work. So that's not a problem, but the costs are a problem, and our numbers are coming down. We are kind of becoming rarer. Observations. Part-time faculty has historically been, since 75, we have seen, they have been an important part, and they have now become a bigger part of what we do. And accreditation agencies that accredit higher education institutions, recognize that, and they have made changes in the accreditation standards to accommodate that. AACSB accredits business schools. They have changed their definition of a faculty participating faculty. Now, part-time faculty can be participating. That makes it easier for us to hire part-time faculty. In the past, we could not hire as many part-time faculty. The accrediting agency would come and take our accreditation away. So the accrediting agencies are accommodating the trend. Significant cost leverage. Part-time faculty to full-time faculty, tenure track faculty, 7-to-1, 10-to-1 in terms of leverage, cost. So, you know, it's 10 times cheaper to employ, to teach, okay? Just to teach, not research. To teach, it could be as much as 10 times cheaper to hire a part-time faculty than a full-time faculty. You know, the good thing about part-time faculty is that they have something that we don't have. Us, we spend all of our lives in academia. We are good at some things, but a lot of us don't have enough practical experience. And students need this, particularly in professional disciplines like business. Students need to have access to industry. So part-time faculty is indeed, in my field particularly, raises the quality of education. So it's not a bad thing necessarily. You just have to make sure that the numbers are balanced. So they also provide a bridge to industry. They teach us, the faculty, as well. So I think that it's not a bad thing to have part-time faculty, and it's not a bad thing that their numbers have gone up. Why are we seeing these trends? Public support for higher education has come down very significantly. Today, many public universities have 10%, 15% of their annual budget come from the state. Okay? This number 20 years ago was 50%. 30, 40 years ago, this number was 70, 80%. So we have been slowly privatizing public universities. So this is neither good nor bad. Okay? It has advantages of doing. We have advantages because of this. We also have disadvantages, but it's just a fact. What have we done during this last 20, 30 years is that we've taken Once the subsidy is gone, if the public sector is not subsidizing the university has to raise its tuition and fees. So the tuition and fees that went through the roof, okay, was partially due to public support going away. Okay, at 78, people at UT Dallas or another UT campus could go there for $300-400 a semester. It is at UTD today $6,000 a semester. Okay? Why? Partially the public support has come down, and partially there has been an inflation in tenure track faculty numbers. So it's not just only public support coming down, it's also the fact that there is a significant inflation in education, higher education as well. Now, what has this done? This has basically permitted, which is basically we are creating a market, a real market. And it has given an opportunity for-profit organizations to make a buck. In the past, if UTD's tuition was $500, they could not compete. They could not make money. But now that we are $6,000, they can come in, and for $6,000, okay, their education costs are significantly lower than ours. They don't hire tenure track faculty. They are using part-time professional faculty, which I said is 7-to-1 to 10-to-1 cheaper. That's what they are using, so they can actually make good money. And sure enough, there has been a tremendous increase in the, and I will show you next slide, in the for-profit sector. Numbers of students enrolled in for-profit sector universities. The other distance learning, they utilize distance learning. These universities particularly do. And the tuition cost between public and private is disappearing, and the competitive market is developing, and student loans are going up rapidly, okay? Because people cannot afford anymore to support their kids. They cannot pay, you know, if it was $600 a semester, I could take care of it without borrowing. Now, if it is $6,000, you let the kid borrow first, subsidized by the government, and then you borrow, because that's not enough for the kid to go to school. So the families as well as kids are now basically borrowing money to go to college. This is a slide that shows the enrollment growth in public, private, and private for-profit. As you can see, there has only been about 25–30% growth in the last decade in the enrollments of public universities as well as private universities that are non-profit, schools like SMU. Not much growth, population similar to population growth. Look at the enrollments in private for-profit, 350% increase. It went from 100 base at 2000 to 450. Okay, so huge increase in the for-profits. This is a little messy slide, but what it says is that the cost of public education in the last decade, okay, went up roughly 50% for public universities, went up about 20–25% for private universities that are non-profit, and then for-profit privates, it stayed constant. But it first went up and then come down. Okay? So they were pricing, and then all of a sudden the realities of market hit, they have to decline their price, and they are positioned somewhere between public and private institutions. this is student loan debt. If you look at it, it's almost $1 trillion today, and that's at 2003 it was 250 billion. So there has been a very significant increase. To put this in perspective, total credit card debt in the United States is slightly less than this. And the total household debt is about 12 trillion. So this is a significant amount of debt for higher education. And this tells us that today, well, this is 2010 data, 50% of students in public universities are getting loans, 63% in private nonprofits, 86% in private for-profits. So the for-profits are basically living on money that the students borrow from government. This student loan debt, 20% of the population in the U.S., households in the U.S., have student loan debt. I'm part of the 20%. When my son went to college, I borrowed, I couldn't afford it, right? So I'm still paying. 20% of the households have this. Those households that have student loan debt average is $24,000. Total debt for those households is $83,000. Consumer debt basically is the difference between mortgage and total debt. So you are looking at house mortgage being roughly $52,000, student loans being roughly $24,000. That's a significant chunk of money to be owing for higher education. Okay? Non-student borrowers, their debt is lower. They only owe $66,000 on average, and the difference is basically the student loans. Their mortgage is similar, $1,000 difference. This 20%, 90% of the loans are made by federal government. 60% of borrowers are over age 30. Okay, that's kind of misleading because it includes people like us who borrow for our kids. Minimum monthly payment $190. Median monthly earnings $2,500. Meaning it's kind of significant if you are earning $2,500 and paying $200 in loan back. It is significant. Now, it's skewed. There are a lot of people that owe huge amounts of money. Of course, those that go to medical school owe lots of money. 0.5% of the households owe more than $200,000 in student debt. 3% owes more than $100,000 in student debt. 25% is greater than $29,000. The last one there is wrong. The last 25% should be less than $5,977. So the bottom 25% owes less than $6,000. Default rates. So what is it costing us, the taxpayers? Okay, because these are now all federally granted, 90% plus federal loans. 8.8% of loans were in the first quarter of 2012, they were 120 days past due. Projected lifetime default rate is 23.3% for subsidized Stafford loans. That's basically the loans that for lower income people and they don't pay until they finish college. Less 16.6% default rate for unsubsidized higher income group, and then 9.7% for plus loans, that's the parents borrowing. Fiscal impact. Actually, if you look at the federal budget, the government reports making money off student loans. For 2011, in the budget, net cost is a minus 47 billion. The government says, I'm making $47 billion on these loans. It's a good deal. I should give money away more. Well, it's kind of misleading because they're not taking into account a lot of the cost that's involved in doing this, and they're not taking into account the risk. So the fair estimate, this is not COB, this is Congressional Budget Office, CBO, my assistant reversed OMB. Their estimate is that the real cost is about 11% of the amount that we are lending. And so for 2013, expected lending is 121 billion, cost is 13.3 billion, additional 3 billion from consolidation loans. So we are looking at $16–17 billion for the year 2013, the cost to the government of all these loans that we are giving out. And, that's roughly 0.5% of the federal budget. So what does it all tell us? It tells us that there is a real cost to the government. It's not very significant if you think about the good it does, because if somebody gets a higher education, their lifetime income goes up significantly, tax revenues go up. I mean, there is lots of societal good. So you can justify doing this program, but you have to be careful because the people that are borrowing, there is a real cost there. If you look at their mortgage payments, debt versus their education debt, okay, that is half of mortgage. So we are getting to the point where actually people will not be able to afford it. Okay, so what does it tell us? Us in the academia had better get efficient because we won't be able to charge as much as we have been charging you. No more gouging. Soon. Thank you very much.
Professor, our next item is the video on RF financing, or what we call Riba-free financing. What we did, we asked our brother Bashir to go around to different members of our community, different members of our staff, with no rehearsal, no script, to tell us what they think about it and would like to share the video with you. After the video, we're going to have the awards. Please roll the video. Thank you.
I always want to have, when I go to bed, to lie comfortable, realizing that my money is doing good and not collecting anything haram.
I never took any loan from anybody else. I never applied any loan from anybody else. If the LARIBA was not there, probably I would not have taken any loans.
Now that we've been married for 2.5 years and we're getting our first house together, inshallah, the next step will be for us to start a family. The most important thing for us was to get our home mortgage loan Riba-free. And the fact that Bank of Whittier is now opened up in Richardson, Texas as well, allowed us to have that option available to us.
I believe it was a good deal. We kind of compared going the other route versus Riba-free, and it seemed just to make sense Islamically and economically, and it just seemed like it was the right thing to do, and it worked out for us.
So the idea was to have an institution, a financial institution, that is run by qualified professionals who love Almighty God, who live by his disciplines revealed in the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, who also have a goal of providing an investment service for those who have the money and using it to invest it in businesses, in Islamic centers, in schools.
All of the major religions of the world teach and preach, if you will, against paying or earning interest.
In the Hebrew scriptures, you find an interesting statement there, I think it's in the Leviticus, that addresses the Israelites that you should not lend to your brother with interest, with riba.
If you're asking what is the Jewish understanding of rebate, then you really have to look at not only the biblical but the rabbinic understanding of rebate. And for the rabbis, these laws would apply in the relationship of Jews to non-Jews just as much as it applies in the relationship of Jews to Jews.
Riba, in Islam we believe, is haram and it must be avoided.
R stands for many things. R stands for ribit, which is the meaning of renting money in Judaism and Christianity. And it stands for riba, which is also means the renting of money in the Islamic faith. So to make it a real Judeo-Christian Islamic discipline, we call it the RF financing. We also use it as a wonderful description of what we do, and that is responsible financing. We are socially responsible, we are morally responsible, and we are ethically responsible before the community and before the highest of all authorities, Almighty God.
To me, this is the challenges taken by LARIBA and Whittier Bank, paving the way up, little by little, and establishing the more Islamic finance, Islamic banking.
We have to make it more and more relevant to the humanity in general. We stop thinking about it as a Muslim industry. By the Muslims, for the Muslims, no. It may be by the Muslims, but it is for everyone.
We've been participating in many activities, financing Islamic schools around the country, financing churches, financing Islamic centers. We have also financed 2 waqf or endowment projects in downtown Singapore. We've been working together with the founders of Turkey Finance that was going belly up for the second time, and we prevented that from happening. We have started a bank in Kazakhstan, and we offered mortgage financing riba-free way for the first time in the history of Kazakhstan. We have 2 books published on the system.
RF banking is a unique responsible form of banking. RF stands for riba or ribbit-free, and of course it is a banking that is not based on the concept of renting of money.
RF banking is faith-based, socially responsible community banking.
It promotes deception-free transactions and gharar-free transactions.
It's not dealing with any forbidden like alcohol or weapons or gambling.
The goal of our banking is to have an interest-free lifestyle that people from all faiths can live and adopt.
We invest into the community, we give back to the community.
We're well trained to see we are responsible for the community to grow.
We are the community, we build the community, we're members of the community, whether it's the Muslim community or just the community in general, the community at large.
Anyone who is interested in riba-free financing is of course welcome, and we encourage it.
Our customers are not only Muslim customers or even Arab customers. It's definitely a mix of Americans.
If we were to discriminate against any person coming in, that would be against our faith and our regulations that we're supposed to be following.
Not being a member of the Muslim community, it took me a while to understand that it's a way of developing a payment that starts based on the market rent of the property.
I'm Ralph Jenny. I'm the Parish Council President
here at St. Michael's Orthodox Church in Whittier, California. Approximately 8 years ago, we were given the opportunity to purchase the neighboring piece of property. It was very refreshing to talk with the Bank of Whittier because they were supportive and very interested in talking to us and arranging financing. You know, they believe that they will truly be rewarded for helping others.
We take interest in our customer, but we do not take interest.
We treat customers with responsibility in that we don't try to take advantage of them or try to deceive them in any way.
We look at every transaction as an investment transaction.
We look at that customer as our family, and we're going to share with our family members profits that the bank make.
Every deal that we do, we want to make sure that it makes economic sense, and it's also make prudent sense for us and also for the customer to be invested to minimize the losses.
The lender is not supposed to take advantage of the customer. The lender is supposed to enter into an arrangement with the customer that's beneficial to the customer.
There's no renting of money where we hide interest charges under the name of rent.
LARIBA is a different product. To me, it was a different concept, a different ways of meeting the need of the people by staying and promoting certain values, what the people believe in.
We have to have that type of institution to help us financially, where we can be stronger as a Muslim community.
I have been working with LARIBA for some time now. My own house is financed through LARIBA. The professionalism that has been shown by Bank of Whittier has been great.
They worked very closely, very tirelessly, and had the approvals in our hands in a matter of weeks. So that was the most efficient part of how they processed all of this.
The issue with owning a home with LARIBA is you're paying part rent, and that rent is basically what is the profit generated for LARIBA, and that is not extra that you're paying back. You're paying back the principal plus rent.
We are the only finance company, we're the only bank in the whole world that goes and measures how much would this house rent for, how much would this car rent for. And based on the rent, we calculate the profitability of the prudent investment. And if it is profitable, we invest with you. If it is not profitable, we do not invest with you.
So in that respect, probably we are unique. There is probably no other lending institution who would tell the borrower that it's better for you to rent it rather than to buy it.
And that discipline we used consistently at LARIBA over the last 20 years to detect economic bubbles that actually detected for us that a number of markets in the United States suffer from overpriced homes, and we should be careful, and we have saved many members of the community from buying homes in inflated markets.
The traditional American banks like Chase and Wells Fargo, they determine their loan based on interest rate. But RF banking, rather than interest rate, we use rental and lease value of the subject property.
There are a lot of similarities, but the main differences are, number one, the RF banker uses the investment approach to analyzing whether the transaction makes economic sense or not, as opposed to simply renting of the money approach, which focuses on, can I get paid back? The second difference is the way the rate of return is set. An RF banker would mark it to the market, whereas a traditional banker looks at it from what is our cost of funds and what spread do we need to earn over the cost of funds. The third difference, and it's probably one of the most important, is the relationship between the two entities, between the bank and the customer, applies the socially responsible principles of helping the customer get out of trouble should they get into it.
We will negotiate on behalf of the customer whether or not to get an appraisal fee, title fee, or anything to try to minimize the cost for the customer.
We're looking for some type of finance and went to big banks and asked financing for this store. Unfortunately, they cannot give us the loan.
Finally, we got Bank of Whittier. They are very good with the customer service, and they help us to get a loan and to franchise the store.
We really help people. I've had customers, doctors who are making enough money to afford good houses, but who've been renting for years because they didn't want to, get involved in interest.
What gives us pleasure is to be able to serve people like this.
LARIBA and similar institutions have come in and they have provided this facility for us to make things easy for us and facilitate easy home ownership.
We treat our customer as a part of our family. We have somebody to serve them 24/7 if they have question.
It's nice that you don't call an 800 number and you can't talk to the same person twice.
The type of employees that work here are primarily, fresh out of college, young people who are willing to learn.
This is like another school for me.
I've never been really a more social person, and I always had this mumbling problem. But since I started working at the bank, my social skills have really gotten better.
So I come here because I know that I'm making a good difference in people's lives. Like, I feel good about the work that I do here.
I bring sometimes my daughters, they are working for volunteer work or they are helping here in the summertime. They love my work very much. They said this is very good community.
Well, we started this thing like 3 years ago and it's very successful. I'm opening the third store in the next 2 months. My background is a Muslim, and then we try not to pay interest. My bank experience is this, compared to the other bank, they are easygoing. Every time I have any question, any related to anything like a loan or anything, they're always very helpful.
Once you enter in the LARIBA RF financing, means you are entering into the family.
The atmosphere is definitely different from other banks.
As we look around the bank, we don't have standing tellers, we have sit-down tellers. It is very important, the ethic as we treat our customer like a part of our business.
I jumped at the opportunity to transfer my banking from my previous city to the Bank of Whittier. One of the things I like best about the Bank of Whittier is actually their ATM machine is very modern and it's very convenient for me.
We want that customer to feel comfortable, but we also want them to feel secure that they're leaving their money with someone that can take care of their investment, can take care of their deposits in a safe manner. Being a part of the FDIC and the Federal Reserve System, we meet all of those requirements.
Well, actually, we were one of the very first finance companies in the United States to use the internet. And we had a website called LARIBA.com. And this website has actually attracted over 1 million visitors in 10 years.
The online banking platform for the bank it's very modern. We've just upgraded the bill pay side of it. It's more efficient.
I know when I will deposit my money with the Bank of Whittier, they will not invest this money into any haram, any business that is prohibited by our religion of Islam.
And immediately I supported the bank. I opened an account. Service is very excellent. Again, it was very personal. They call you, they email you, they're up to task and immediate responses, so there's no delay whatsoever.
The way we deal with people, the way we deal with their finances, the way we keep our records, the way we keep our books, ethics are at the top of the list.
In the final analysis, people will ask you, what is the added value? What's different about what you do? It's not a matter of names, it's not a matter of claims, it's a matter of what have you done for me lately?
We always look to the benefit of that client, not the benefit of the companies. So we have to put ourselves in their position to understand what their problems, to listen to their issues, and to see what we can do to help them.
We want to be very specific as to the real added value of what you do, serving the community, holding the hands of the people, and most importantly, touching the hearts and the minds and the pockets of those who need to be touched. I'd like to ask State Representative for District 90, Lon Berman, the Honorable Lon Berman, please to join us.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation to join you this evening. I have to present to our honorees resolutions recognizing their contributions to the community. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to read the entire resolution, but let me just read the first sentence from each paragraph. Whereas Adnan Yousif is being presented with the Excellence in Community Service Award of the RF Banking and Finance Dinner Gala on this day, whereas sponsored by the American Finance House, LARIBA, and Bank of Whittier, this accolade recognizes members of the responsible community, banking and finance, field who have distinguished themselves through their exceptional achievements. Past honorees include, whereas Mr. Yousif is the president and CEO, and whereas he has distinguished himself as a dynamic and innovative leader in the financial industry, and he's indeed deserving this prestigious honor, be it resolved that. Similar resolution for Rashida Siddiqui. Congratulations to you both.
We have many awards that were granted. One of them is from the Sheriff of the Dallas County.
I'll make it short. This is from the Sheriff Lupe Valdez on behalf of the Dallas Sheriff's Department to this organization. I will not read all of this. On the interest of time, I know we're all trying to go home as soon as we can. But I do want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, to all folks here that represent businesses, because businesses is what keeps our country and any other country afloat. And people like you, men and women, we thank you from the Sheriff's Department. On behalf of Sheriff Lupe Valdez.
Thank you. Mr. Siddiqui.
Thank you.
And the School District of Dallas.
Okay. Hi, my name is Wes Scott. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Dallas County Schools, and on behalf of Larry Duncan, our board president, who's sorry he couldn't be here tonight, I'm here to give a proclamation to the honorees. I have to confess, I had never heard of LARIBA or the Bank of Whittier or the honorees before this week. I did a little internet research before I came. What an amazing concept, and I really wish continued success and prosperity to both organizations. This is just a neat family. I will follow in the paths of those before me and not beat you to death with all the wording of these proclamations, but congratulations to the honorees. And okay.
Thank you. Mr. Rushdi Siddiqui. We have many recognitions from the Senator of the State of Texas and Congressman, but because of the lack of time, anybody else from those who granted? So we're going to summarize them for that. But I think what would like to get it over with is the main purpose we have had this wonderful function, and that is to announce the awardees for the 2012 LARIBA prestigious award in RF banking and financing. In the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, we sorted through many of the significant contributors in the field, and we kept awarding those who started up the business in the field. And then we could not find anyone that we can give the award to yet until this year, when we started concentrating on the second generation of riba-free bankers, the generation that is going to take all of these conceptual ideas at the beginning of the business, consolidate it, and make it a true business. And tonight, we are honored to have with us two significant contributors to the field. One of them is a very, very accomplished banker, Adnan Ahmed Yousif, who has been a banker for over 35 years, started with American Express, worked for Citibank, worked for Arab Banking Corporation, and then he decided to retire. And then Sheikh Saleh Kamel, who is one of the pioneering spirits of riba-free financing, decided to invite him to consolidate the work that he has been doing. And mashallah, he has put together the first ever riba-free banking network in the world that is international. And they serve 14 countries, and they have 450 branches, from South Africa to Sudan, to Algeria, to Tunisia, to Libya, to Egypt, to Saudi Arabia, to Bahrain, to Jordan, to France, and he will tell you more. But we are honoring him for this wonderful work, and we hope that his system will grow such that it will become an important factor in encouraging Muslims to deal with each other, to trade with each other, to work with each other. And that is the real meaning of unity, encouraging people to recognize this unique system that we have, which is riba-free. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mr. Adnan Ahmed Yousif while we give him the award. Recognize a very dear brother that we grew up with, but except he's younger. I'm an old man now. And he's my dear brother, Rushdi Siddiqui. I remember meeting Rushdi Siddiqui over the phone back in 1989, and he told me who he is, and he's a graduate of Baraka School of Law, and he's just started working in Sharia-based financing. And he wanted me to be the Sharia scholar, and he came and visited me in Pasadena. You remember Rushdi, or remember that? And I told him, well, Rushdi, I have other things to do. And since that time, he has flourished to become a very important factor in riba-free financing. And that is on the investment side. He took it upon himself to take the Dow Jones Islamic Index, which actually screens all the stocks in the Dow Jones horizon and in the S&P horizon, and make sure that they comply with the Sharia. He made it a wonderful international index that is used by many countries and many institutions and mutual funds. Now, he's busy in pioneering a new index. As you know, many riba-free banks use the LIBOR index as the reference index. Now he's developing a new index that is based on the profitability of riba-free banks that can be used by riba-free banks worldwide without relying on the LIBOR. When he started doing it, did you know about all of these irregularities in the LIBOR when you started the idea, or just came as an image? Very good. So we would like to welcome you. Please join me, welcome Brother Rushdi Siddiqui in accepting the award for the significant achievements in riba-free financing. Now we have a short video on Mr. Adnan Yousif and Mr. Rushdi Siddiqui. So please watch with us. Before that, a 4-minute video on the award itself. When we started our effort in 1987, we sat down thinking of ways and means to present this new discipline of financing and banking in America. And we wanted our children to aspire to be bankers, to aspire to be successful business people. So we got together and we said, let us honor and recognize those wonderful achievers, pioneers, who took it upon themselves to present this new discipline of RF financing, or Islamic financing and banking, to the world.
This is at least the 3rd or 4th time that I've been in attendance, and I've been so impressed with the worldwide work of the Islamic banking, the way in which they have gone throughout the world and made such an impact in following not only good financial practices, but their religious practices.
I am very happy to be here. I think that the idea that all of us can benefit from how we see finances and how we see commodities in the world are really important forms of education.
It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and our office is to assist you in any of your events or causes, and please call upon us. And I appreciate your friendship and support, and we do have proclamations to give to your honorees tonight.
I'd like to express my deep appreciation and thanks to LARIBA for giving me this award. I do accept it, and I am ever thankful for that. Thank you.
The first question that came to my mind, why me? But then when I attended this conference today and saw all the speakers and the participants and the real contribution, the question kept repeating in my mind, why me? But in any case, I am very humbled and very grateful for this honor to be among my brothers and sisters, and I accept something that I believe I don't deserve and others deserve it much more than me. Thank you.
I'm happy to say that when we go back and Donna and Colette put these pictures on our home site, this award will do more for our entire organization than any pep rally that we could give for ourselves. So on behalf of Fannie Mae and the 4,500 employees, I say thank you very much.
Together we're making a difference in the lives of American Muslims by making homeownership a possibility. And for Donna and me, that makes coming to work incredibly fulfilling. It's been an honor to be associated with the work of this important institution. And I get calls from all around the country asking about this particular business model. This partnership is part of Fannie Mae's faith-based homeownership initiative, and it serves a population that is often overlooked by the traditional mortgage market.
I accept this award on behalf of my team at Harvard, and I would also like to especially mention the students and the individuals, including my family, my wife, that they have been providing, the support and assistance since the inception of this project in 1995. Thank you very much.
We honored many people, the who is who. And by the way, They are now being recognized by something called the Royal Award in Malaysia, which I'm honored to be the one of the judges on them, and they are now called again to be recognized. That is probably 20 years later.
I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the American finance house LARIBA for conferring on me this Lifetime Achievement Award for my role in resolving the financial crisis in Malaysia. I am particularly honored since I understand that I am the first ever to receive this award. While I accept this recognition with much humility and appreciation, in reality, it is the Malaysians who truly deserve this award. It was with the sincere support, deep understanding, and full cooperation